days. Let us start with the PPT. Yeah, good morning. Because the only disadvantage of the online workshops, webinars is that when I say good morning, I myself listen to my echo, good morning. Something physical is missing, but today it's alive. So dear participants, welcome in this today's session, Introduction to Research. And I must also thank you and congratulate you all the participants, teachers, the budding researchers, I can say, the students, those who are having the inclination towards the research, those who are trying to complete their PhD and almost on the last part of their research. But normally, whenever we ask the question to anybody today, if I go to any classroom and if I just open up the topic that what is research, and then 1 minute, the people, they think, and then they come out with the different ideas about the research and try to give the answer of my question, what is research? And whatever the answers they give, I simply ask another question to them, which is there on the slide. Is this research? Is this means research? And that is what the brainstorming starts with this question, that does it mean research? What normal answer the participants they give out of their observation, about their experience, is rearrangement or summary of information from different sources. Because it is so much injected among the researchers. I use the word researchers because I don't want to use the students, teachers, and then the scholars, researchers. That such an injected thing, as Dr. Naik was referring to the same point. So they come out with, no, I have done the research and then I have visited so many resources. I have referred to so many resources, so many books, journals, a typical kind of the answer starts with. And then that researcher feels that whenever I collect the information and when I put it, rearrange it or summarize it, it is a research. This idea something gives me a story where a person is asked to collect the flowers from the garden, and then he collects the flowers and makes a bouquet and present it. So this is something presenting the bouquet of all the information collected from the different sources as it is. That word as it is underlined and is very important. So is it a research? No, it is not the research. Very simplest form which normally these students they go for is cutting and pasting together from different sources. A cut paste. Because they feel that, this is a research. I have collected X from one source, Y from another source, and then I paste it, and then I have made my own document. And then my own document can be my project. My own document can be dissertation. My own document can be thesis. Then that cutting pasting is a research. No, sorry, it is not the research, though it look like a research. And today, because of the technology, because of the availability of the different platforms, search engines, a Google search. People, they go for a Google, they put whatever the information they want, just simply cut paste it. Even they don't bother to read it also. Then they present it. And that is what many times when the students, they are asked to do the project, they say that what's a big thing in that? It's a one-day job. You give us a topic, our Google Chacha is there, and that Google Chacha will help us for this cutting pasting work. You just tell how many pages you want. So when the people, they talk of the quantitative research, qualitative research, the students and the researchers, they talk of the quantitative research in terms of the pages, and that is a very bad scenario today. And that is what it is very necessary that all the researchers, budding researchers, those who want to do the research in future must understand what is research and what are the different dimensions of the research. And then our college, KBP College, has given you the opportunity to undergo such a training for 7 days. So it means now what is research, instead of telling you first, I prefer to tell you what is not research, because it is very common ideas among the researcher. So let us go to the next slide. See, the one of the poem, many times you must have listened to it, many times you must have thought over it, many times you must have taught it also to your brothers, sisters, neighbors, children. And I'm very much fascinated with this poem, Twinkle, Twinkle, Little Star. How I wonder what you are. ... There's a full poem. It's not a English class. But I'm very much fascinated with this poem. As Dr. Naik was referring to what, why, who, when, where. Now see, if you read this poem very carefully and from the research point of view, you will find that poem itself gives you the meaning of the research. In that poem, every time you will find a word who, what, why, where. I may not read the poem, but I think this explanation must have helped you to recollect at least some lines, some stanzas of this great poem, Twinkle, Twinkle. Not only that, you will surprise, the Twinkle, Twinkle, this poem was written somewhere in 19th century. And today, the composers of this world, they have made 17 times improvisation in this. So probably you don't know, when you are reading a Twinkle, Twinkle, whether you are reading the 10th version or 15th version or the original version. So what I'm trying to drive you 2 points, that even that poem also has undergone the research. And that is what those all composers, they come out with different additions, deletions, improvisations, we can say, to suit to the temperament, to suit to the current scenario, to suit to the changing psychology of the children, the changing psychology and the philosophy of the parents. And that is what this poem typically every time talks about: who, what, why, where, when, and so on. That is what every researcher, according to me, must carry throughout his research and also the post-research, the same questions in mind. Because typically the research was in the domain of the science people, science scholars. And every time science means research, scientist means researchers. Now the things have changed. Any faculty, you will find the research is taking place, and on such a huge scale on the different aspects. A simple research done by a undergraduate student on uses of the ATM machine he carries the same questions in the mind. Who are the users? What is this machine about? Where it is kept? Why it is kept there? Why the people should use it? When is the appropriate time to use it? So on and so forth. Even a PhD researcher who talks about the green marketing or who talks about a higher level kind of the problems also talks about, in each PhD chapter, he tries to find out the question, answer of the question, who, one chapter, what, one chapter, why, a very important heart of the research. So you ponder on those 5 questions or further more questions, which gives you the insight that this is a research. It is not cutting pasting. And that is what it is said. The logic will get you from A to B. Now, people, they logically say, but very important is imagination. And that is a very important quality about the researcher, because the imagination will take you everywhere. And that is what that twinkle, twinkle, little star talks about, the imagination. It takes the poem, the poet, takes everywhere. And ultimately, at the end, the poet leaves you at your imagination. So I think the twinkle, twinkle, if you remember in your research, you will definitely enjoy your research, whether it is a small project, whether it is a research paper, whether it is a PhD thesis, whether it is a dissertation for your MPhil or any postgraduate studies. So researchers, you must remember this question. Let us go to the another side. So finally, now the time has come to understand the technical or the exact definition about the research. There is one more definition on the slide. So there are 2 definitions I have given in the slide. Now, there are so many definitions. If your teacher teaches you the research methodology in the classroom, or if you are a PhD student and your coursework talks about the research methodology and the research, if you read Kothari's book on the research methodology or any other books on the research methodology, you'll find 2-3 pages are devoted for different definitions of the research. It is a perception, because research has a different dimensions, and if I take one dimension, a definition is arrived at. If I talk of another dimension, another aspect, then I arrive at another definition. So I just compare it to a story you must have listened it in your school days, of the blind people and an elephant. So they touch the elephant, one blind person, and he says, no, the elephant is like a broom, because he touches the tail of the elephant. So every time whenever somebody touches the elephant, talks about the elephant, and that is the perception. But elephant is not like that. Elephant is plus, plus, plus. So research, if you see only one aspect or only one definition, you will find you will have to make addition to it, 1, 2, 3, 4, all dimensions. And in this all dimensions, you will come to know that this is how, if you summarize it, if you make a total of it, and if you see in toto, this is a research. And then after understanding the research as a whole, you start working on the small aspect, one small dimension of the research. So let us see the first definition. What is research? Creation of new knowledge. And that is what my first slide, if you remember, we said, is it research? What is the research? What is not the research? You are just bringing some material from different sources, going to the Google or any search engine, and then you are putting it. So there is nothing new creation, a new knowledge, a body of the knowledge. So it has, your research has to add something new. That is what many times when the students, they approach us with the topic, I mean, a problem in a technical way, then we see that this topic has already been researched. This problem has already been researched. Why you are not taking something new? And that is what every time the teachers, the guides, they tell the researchers that, look here, don't repeat. You have to add to a knowledge. So you create a new knowledge, that is a research. And that is what many times the PhD students or even MPhil students, they ask that, sir, what topic I should take? For me, it's a very funny question, because it is not going to a vegetable market or a fruit market and asking, sir, which vegetable I should buy, which vegetable you like me to cook, or which fruit you feel that it's good. It is you ultimately where you feel your interest is, your specialization is, your inclination is, where you can add to the knowledge. You create something new. So research is creating something new knowledge, a body of the knowledge, we can say. And, or, see, not every time you should create a new knowledge, also it is a research. And that is what we said in the definition, creation of a new knowledge, and or is also very important. It is also a research. What is that or? The use of existing knowledge, but how? In a new and creative way. So it is not again putting the same knowledge. You have to put it in a different framework, different setup. That is also a research. So when you learn on in these all 7 days, you will know the primary data and then the secondary data, etc., etc. So today we don't want to encroach in the domain of the other speakers for 7 days, but I will make the passing references today without going into the meaning of it or without going into the details, because that is the day where you will learn the detailed knowledge. So, but then this you will find many people, they said, sir, secondary data में से research हो सकता है क्या? In a funny question, I asked them that, are you going to create something new out of it? Or at least you are using this existing information in some new and creative way. And then what is new and creative way? In the definition, it is said that it generates a new concepts, new methodologies, and understandings. And that is what you will find. The Newton's law of gravitation, Galileo's laws, and so many scientists' laws has been researched. Search, again, search, revisited again. So it's like a repeat, revision. You know, when you do the revision, you first read it. First you digest it, you understand it, and then you do revision. And while doing revision, what you get is a different ideas of remembering it. After revising it, you understand the different ways of putting it, different ways of presenting. And it's a revision. Revision of what? Existing, reading what you have done previously. So try to understand a research, fundamentally you will find it is creating something new, a new body of knowledge, a new knowledge is adding to a stock of the knowledge. But at the same time, existing knowledge can also be utilized for putting in a different perspective, generating a new concepts in a different way of understanding. So remember, a research is something re plus search. The second definition also throws a light on the process of the research. Now, when we will go further, you remember the explanation, you will understand the further slides better. The second definition talks very scientifically about the meaning of the research. It says, what is research? A systematic investigation. As you know, the police, what they do is a systematic investigation. They search the information about their problem, about the question they are facing. So systematic investigation into and study of a particular question. That question is also called as a problem. For example, when the pandemic started, the whole teaching fraternity, the community realized that now how to impart the knowledge. Now no physical exchange of thoughts, no classrooms. So not only the teachers, they have to undergo lot many changes. So they have done research. Parents, students. So all three stakeholders, they have done this systematic investigation of a problem that now what? Again, a twinkle, twinkle, little star. How? When? So that no physical thing. So whether I can start the class evening at 7 o'clock or 8 o'clock or early in the morning. So problem was first. The questions one has to address. And the people, they started studying, the companies, they started researching. And then came the examination. So how to conduct the examination? Again, it was a new ball game to everybody. So everybody started a systematic investigation into the problem, the question. And what is important quality, which is in this definition highlighted, with open mind. So open mind is not copying, not taking as it is, not presenting as it is, not telling same thing again. It is again a question: why, what, when, where, all W type questions. So when somebody is doing the investigation, not in a haphazard manner, you know, if somebody gets an idea and is traveling in a bus, and at the back of that bus ticket, if he writes something, scribbles something, I can say. Next time he travels on some other route, he again gets idea, writes something on the back of that ticket or some railway ticket. It cannot lead to a very systematic investigation at the end. These are the random thoughts, I can say. So one has to have a very, very open mind for that. So you don't work in that framework. So if you want to break those barriers, then you have to have a very open mind. That is a foremost quality, important quality of the researcher. Because many times when the people, they come for a discussion with me, the other teachers also will have the same experience, because mine is not a unique experience. A general examples I'm telling you to drive my point. That which problem I should take for a project, which topic I should take for a project. Now, this itself shows that a person is not having an open mind. Because a researcher has approached you with a very close mind that no, this is what I have read, this is what I know, this is what I have found somewhere, so I have to do it this manner. So no open mind. It is something like, in career also, people, they say, why I have taken a commerce? Because my sister has done the commerce. My uncle at that time, he stood first in commerce. So that is what I'm doing the commerce. So why today? Is it important? Is it necessary? Whether the commerce has got a different specialization, no open mind. And that is what the open mind of the researcher is a prime quality to start with any research. Therefore, to summarize this slide, one can say that what is research? Ask the question, are you creating a new knowledge? Are you adding to the existing knowledge? If the answer is yes, yes, then it's a research. Are you talking about developing some new concepts, new ideas? You are generating some new way of presenting it based on the existing knowledge. If yes, then it is also a research. Are you doing an investigation with an open mind? Are you focused on a particular problem which is bothering you, which is bothering society, which is bothering a nation? Is it with an open mind you are trying to find out the answer of the question, and that answer will be helpful to all? Then it is research. So my friends, whenever you are thinking of doing any research, at the back of the mind, first see whether you are getting the positive replies, answers of this question. Then I think you will be in a position to do the research properly, and you will enjoy it also. Let us go to the next slide. See, we talked about the research concept as such, meaning. Now, as we are referring in the definition, the different dimensions and the aspects of the research, then naturally the last slide must have created some confusion, likely confusion in your mind. And then I am trying to address those confusions, or rather I can say misunderstanding. And for that, you must know what are types of research, or rather, it's a purpose of the research. When we say you are investigating a question, a problem, finding the answers to your questions. So what type of the research you want to do? What type of the answers you want to find out? What is your purpose? of the research. Because a purposeless research has having a no meaning. There has to be some purpose. And that is what, when somebody comes to you or comes to me, we ask the same question that, okay, fine, you know the research, now you've got a problem, you've got some question, everything with you, you have some topic with you on which you want to do the investigation, the research. What do you want to do? Are you talking of a basic research? Are you talking of a applied research? Or exploratory research? So on and so forth. As Dr. Naik was also referring, whether it is a qualitative research or whether it is a quantitative research, which I have not mentioned in the slide. Because whenever you learn the data collection, at that time you will learn more of the qualitative and the quantitative data. So one has to also freeze, one has to also zero down on the purpose. Yes, I want to do the research. I am determined now. I am very clear about the research. I am very clear about the concept of the research. I have understood what is a research. Now I am to do the research. So the next question is, what is the purpose? What exactly you want? Research means what exactly you want to do, where you want to have a focus. And then the first one has to answer whether you want to do a basic research. A basic is a fundamental research. And that is what on a slide you can read, that it is something going into the detail, the basic aspects of the problem and find out something. And that is what basically the basic research is, more or less scientific based. A normal second research, which is very common, is application based, applied research. Because a basic research gives you a fundamental, a basic concepts, basic knowledge, which is totally new to you. But now the research, unless and until it is not applied, it becomes only the academic exercise. And that is what many times when we visit the libraries of a higher education, postgraduate study centers, research centers, 4 to 5 cupboards are full of the research projects. PhD thesis. If you go to any undergraduate colleges, the things are more worst. You'll find one stock room, so-called. It's full of the projects. And it was a peon's duty to ultimately accept those projects and tie up very nicely. And then one person comes and pastes one paper on the bundle that it is okay, FI, BBI. That's it. The research ended there. The PhD thesis, once it is awarded a PhD, the researcher forgets it. And the place is a cupboard of one library or our own libraries. Only academic, because these researchers have no application value. People cannot use it in a day-to-day life. And that is what the applied research is of a great use to the society, community, the nation. And that is what you will have to understand when I want to do the research, whether I'm talking of a very basic research, something new I want to come out with it, which is totally unknown, or whether I'm talking about the applied research, where I talk about the application, how the research will help for solving the problems, whether it is invention of a totally a new product, or it's an application-based product. whether I'm talking of a total and novel technique, or whether I'm talking about the uses of the technique, application of the technique which has come out through the research. So you think a basic or applied, a dilemma. Or rather we can say that, many times the people, they go for a basic and then they go for applied also. But it's a challenging work. Next is a bibliographic research, purely a secondary based research. Many of the research papers, if you have seen today published in different journals, scholarly articles, they talk about the bibliographic research, and it is defined very aptly there as a summary of published. Again, you come out with a problem and you make a research on already published material on it. Maybe a book, maybe a research article in research journals, magazines. And then you come out with a summary of all the published work on that particular problem. Even you will find in your PhD thesis also, you refer to a one chapter, review of literature. We talk about the bibliographic research only. Finally, you find out the research gap through the bibliographic research, which will lead to a further research. The another kind of a research, you talk of a empirical research. It is purely based on the direct experiences. Difficult. Science people, they go for it. Lot of experimentation you have to do, what are observations you have to do for months together, you have to maintain a diary, you have to write those all observations. Then is a oral research, again a common. This oral research is definitely based on the surveys, polls, questionnaires, interviews. You talk to the people, you understand, you collect the material from them out of your discussions, you collect the data technically, material, and you do the research. Then you have the exploratory research. Now in this exploratory research, you will find where there is no problem as such identified. But you start with such an unclear note and you start exploring the different fields, areas. And normally it says that it is a first step of the research. Before you come to a very focused kind of a research, you try to explore it. I'll give you a simple example of it. You visit a library and you want to learn something on a risk management, or you want to learn something about some new techniques of the marketing, online market. And you find the librarian shows you, see, look here, this is the rack. These are the two cupboards where you will have some 50, 60 books. Now till that, you don't know exactly what you want, but somewhere you know this is what you want to have it, or you're looking at. You're not so much clear. Then out of that 50 books, at least you explore some 10 to 12 books, and then you come to a clarity. So what you are doing, you are exploring. Even when the brainstorming sessions we take before the research, we tell the people that let us explore what are the different ways of doing it, how we can do it, how we can crystallize the thing. Many times the people, they drive a car. They're not clear where they want to go, but I want to go for a long driving. No, I want to go this side. I have never gone there. I don't know. So let us find out. So you're exploring it. So you have qualitative research also, where numerics have no role to play. You have quantitative research, that can be the purpose to come out with the more mathematical models, more figures, more numbers. So these, when you talk of a research, you have to think of the purpose, you have to think of a type, that what exactly you want to do in the whole process. Let us go to the next one. This is a very commonly discussed research. Many of the conferences, many of the seminars, many people, they talk, interdisciplinary research is a buzzword nowadays. Now, when you talk of applied, basic, exploratory, now the interdisciplinary research, now actually this is the time where we should do such kind of the research. The slide talks about what, why, and then the benefits. I'll give you one example. Now, when we talked about in previous slide, the pandemic situation, and then delivering the lectures to the students and community, even conducting the meetings, talking about the parents. Now, this comes in the domain of the teacher. But again, how? This comes again in the domain of the IT, information technology. So now, if both the parties come together and start doing the research, it is an interdisciplinary research. Because the research is not in a position to complete in one discipline. It will be extended to another discipline. So multidisciplinary approach, interdisciplinary approach is very important today. It is something like, I'll compare with the corporate, because we go for a corporate training, there we say that if you are appointed as a HR person, don't restrict yourself with the HR. You will have to learn the finance. You will have to learn the marketing, because when you want to recruit the people, you must know the marketing techniques. When you are doing the finance, you must know first the marketing. Unless and until you don't call the people, you don't market your product, then the further finance, keeping of accounts and everything starts. So if you go with a very watertight compartments today, and if you don't take the multidisciplinary approach or the interdisciplinary approach, it will be very difficult for you, or even today to any of the research institute or the university, because today's time is to talk about the interdiscipline. I was talking about the corporate exam. First few years, a person is placed in his domain, his specialization. Say, for example, say HR. After some years, he is transferred to marketing department. After some years, he has given some another work. In some of the good colleges also, you will find one particular subject is taught by one teacher. Next year, the subject changes. So the idea is a multidisciplinary approach, interdisciplinary approach. And what in corporate is multitasking. Otherwise, it leads to a monopoly. There will be no open mind, rusting of the ideas. And today, the progress, if you see, done by technology, by different disciplines, it's very difficult that today you can restrict your research with only one discipline. And that is what in many universities, whatever I visit, as since I associated with 11 different universities in India, now the process has started where the students, they started registering, and then now universities allotting them free guides, 2 guides. Why the 2 guides? Why the 3 guides? Because the first guide is of his own discipline, where the student, they have registered, students domain, discipline. But the problem which a student wants to study, the question he wants to address, you will find it goes to another discipline where you want the expertise of that discipline also. So that is what the interdisciplinary or the multidisciplinary approach is today very, very important. And that is what, if you see the question of why, you will find that the problem which you have selected is too complex. Now, during the isolation, also in the COVID-19 situation, many of the students, they come out with the robots. Many hospitals, they come out with the robots. How to deliver the food, how to deliver the medicines to the patient. When you face a very complex kind of a situation, and when you feel that it is not only restricted to your domain, your discipline, but it is going more vast, where you can extend and you can get a better knowledge, you can get a better picture, you can get a better technique, better application, you get better solution. Adopt the multidisciplinary approach in the research. And that is what it is said in the benefit, that it solves the problems beyond the scope of your discipline. A very simple definition of the interdisciplinary approach. As the technology, the progress, the science, so many things, the access to the resources has increased. So that is what I have made a separate slide on interdisciplinary research, so that if you think with an open mind that no, I want to study that problem, but then somebody says, no, it is not coming in your domain. Don't worry. You have the option. You have the way out to go for an interdisciplinary research, multidisciplinary approach, and you can complete the research which is in your mind, or whatever the problem which is you have chosen for the research. Let us go to the next slide. The next slide shows us why research. Normally the question is asked, and then the people or the participants, they only ask me the question कि सर आप इतना सब बोल रहे हैं रिसर्च के बारे में, आपने ही बताया ट्विंकल ट्विंकल लिटिल स्टार, और आपने ही बताया व्हाट व्हाई वेयर, तो व्हाई रिसर्च देन, क्यों करना है, क्या उसमें बड़ी बात है, नहीं करते तो क्या होता है. It's really one of the point in that slide I have given. It's a really exciting and a fun. When you don't do it, you are enjoying, definitely. But when you will start doing it, you will enjoy more. You will enjoy better. You will enjoy qualitatively. And that is what it is said, that it is very, very exciting. You know, you start with the research. You try to find out something. Step 1. Then you come to know, no, there is step 2. There is step 3. It's so exciting, you know, exploring research we talk about. No, you are started with a very unclear vision. And then when you go further one step, when you drive 10 kilometers, 15 kilometers on an unknown road, you find that it's very exciting, very interesting. It's really, I'm enjoying it. It's fun to explore, to do the research. So according to me, if you take it as a burden, if you take it only as your academic exercise, if you restrict yourself only because I want 10 marks, I want only that tag of a PhD because the UGC makes it compulsory, then please don't do it. You will not enjoy it. You will be under tremendous pressure. And that is what many PhD students I have seen. They have spent 5 years, paid 2-3 times the university fees for the extension, but they have not come out with the final research. They are not enjoying. Nothing exciting. That research is not exciting. And that is what you choose a problem, you choose such a kind of area, you find there is excitement, the fun. Not only that, you will find that it brings a life. Otherwise, these are only books, these are only research papers, only research journals. There is no jaan nahi hai uske andar. The research puts a jaan, life. It puts a life in you also. As a teacher, when I go to the class, and if I do some research on the topic which I'm going to talk to the student tomorrow, you'll find my enthusiasm is very high. I'm very excited कि यार मैं कभी जाता हूँ क्लासरूम में और कभी मैं शेयर करता हूँ ये नई चीज जो मैंने अभी पढ़ी है. There's excitement. You put a life into the class through the research. Today, the research, if you do it, majority of the companies, they give you a job because you have got an analytical mind. Open mind people will always have analytical mind. When they ask the question why, the why is analysis. So you become professional. Today, if you see majority of the finance companies, even in the science also, in the science field, technology, engineering, you will find the doctorates are preferred. They become now the professionals because they require such a knowledge, the analytical mind, open mind. So you can do the advancement in your career after your research. You don't stuck up with something, only one. You'll find one more thing is that the funding today, you'll surprise that lot of funding is today done for the research. If you are in a teaching fraternity, you are a teacher, then you'll find the UGC, the universities, AICT. So many agencies are there, they are giving you the funding. Private agencies are doing the funding. The international agencies are doing the funding. But then your problem which you have taken must be very attractive. Attractive in the sense that it will be really helpful to the society, a nation, a common man, a community as a whole. You get a funding. So today, this is not the question that, okay, my research requires this amount of money, what to do? Colleges are there funding. A simple example, some colleges and the university pay for your research paper. Why? Because the research they want to, because something new will come out of it. It will advance your career also. So if you prepare a good proposals and put it even in the websites, or even if you approach to the international funding agencies, you will find a lot of funding you are getting. So this is how is the idea that why research, and that is what, if you are attending this workshop, I congratulated you on a first opening remark, because you are lucky that you will learn so many things and which will help you for your advancement. Let us go to the next slide. Characteristics of the research. Now, research means there are different dimensions. To get a more clarity, I have prepared this slide for you. We have discussed in the beginning. In definitions also, we have discussed. So the research is a scientific approach, but very important today is ethics. As a researcher, if you don't practice the ethics, what normally is called as a plagiarism, copy paste, chori, theft of somebody's literature, then it is not good. On the contrary, it is crime. So you have to follow the code of conduct. You have to practice ethics when you are doing the research. It is not just copying, pasting. Very important characteristic of a good research, if I put the word in the title, characteristics of a good research, I think the whole slide will become more meaningful for you. Your research must be based on a real-time data. Now, what is real-time data? Now, something, if you take a data of some 1960, and you are talking of some new technology today, it's a mismatch. So real-time data is a recent data. Even in the review of literature also, many universities, they have put that, when you prepare that chapter, when you do the review, not review the books of old, 5 years old, 6 years old. Because what we want to bring to the people is a real-time data, a very recent kind of a data. It doesn't mean that the old is not good or not useful. Not only that, your research should create a further opportunity. Now, suppose if you have done some research and you have presented your research, your presentation itself should give you some more opportunity to the another person who want to do further research. And that is what, if you see any PhD thesis, the end of the PhD thesis is always that what are the further area according to you, if somebody want to do the research on your same problem or similar problem, you mention it. So it must generate the further opportunity for the research. Research is a continuous process. You have select a problem, but it must have created a further problem. It must have given a birth to the new problem. And the last and a very important characteristic, like a first, is accuracy. If your research is not accurate, dicey, every time it is not giving the same result, then it's of no use. And that is what you have to adopt the systematic approach, as in the first place we have mentioned. So to summarize this particular slide, what is important is a real-time data and in-depth analysis. It is not a surface analysis you want to do, apply some SPSS or some software for analysis, and then lot many pages that software generates, and then you don't understand what you analyze basically. So remember these two things. Now the research process, as you see, your 7 days, what you are going to learn is the research process. How to select your topic area, how to come out with your problem, review of literature, hypothesis, objective. That is what on a first day I wanted you to at least listen to these words which are commonly used in the research. Methodology, or what you say, research methodology, collecting the data, analysis, and then analysis, you can't stop only with the analysis unless you interpret the data, because the figures, whatever you analyze, they have to speak. They have to give you the results. They have to give you the meaning. So every analysis you do, every mathematical formula you apply should give you meaning to it. And the last very important process of the research is to conclude and recommend, because again, if you stop with your research only conclusion, that's it, with no recommendation that how application will be, then again that research is a fruitless, because it will be a halfway done. So you start the process with the topic or area, and you end with your conclusion and the recommendation, and in between are your 7 days of your workshop. Every day you will come across with those things. Let us go to the next slide. And this is the last slide of our today's presentation. This gives you the summary of whatever we discussed during last 1 hour or 1.5 hours. You'll find on the left-hand side, why, what, how. And on the right-hand side, you find the answers you get in the research. When you ask the question that why I am doing it, why I'm doing the research, you'll find you talk about the introduction, significance, criteria, and the background of your research. When you talk about what is known, we discuss literature review, bibliographic research. But then if you want to come out with something new, you will have to find the gap in that literature review. So what is unknown is finding the gap. Okay, now you found out the gap, you know the topic, you know the problem, you have done the sufficient review of the literature. So you know how many people they have done the research on this topic, and now you want to come out with something different. So the question is, what do I hope to discover? And that is what I have to adopt a particular method or a material I have to select, what commonly used as a methodology, a research methodology, how I am doing it. And once I adopt that methodology, I applied that particular methods and the materials to it, you will find you get a result. So what I found of my result, the next step is finding the results. So if you start with 1, 2, 3, 4, now you'll find the whole 1 hour I have summarized it very systematically. And then fourth point comes to what I found out is a result. But then I said your mathematical formulas, analysis of the data, you have to put a meaning to it. And when you want to put a meaning to it, you will find what does it mean. So discussion of 4 in terms of 1 and 2, a very focused definition I have given, what does it mean. You have to discuss the 4, what I found out. But it cannot be in a air. But I have to discuss the point number 4, what I found, in reference to 1, why I'm doing it, and what was unknown, whether really I got it or not. And then the 6th one is definitely the conclusion and the suggestion. And the last, as I have said, a very important thing, it should not be of only academic interest, or it should have only a value of keeping it in a shelf or a cupboard, which will attract more dust. But what is important is that your recommendation to the whole process. So that is your actual contribution. And a very important question, it is written, what is next? It's okay, you have stopped with that. You found out something, you have recommended something. But does the research stop there? No. So you will have to tell what is next now. And that is what it creates a different opportunity. Now, I think you have listened it very carefully. Let me test your knowledge. And then you have the chat box. You can answer those questions. And then immediately after reading also, I will answer some of the questions so that you can test yourself that you have gone through a particular understanding of the lecture or not. Let us go to the slides. Next slide. See, the questions are there in the red, and you have the 4 options, which will test you that whether you have understood it properly or not. Now, at the same time, in a chat box, I have got so many suggestions that you please share the PPT. Thank you very much. And then excellent session, super, very informative, and so on and so forth. Definitely, we will share the PPT with you because it is not a copyright kind of a thing. But I'm very happy that you like the session, but my happiness will not be restricted only to your happiness or your understanding, unless and until you come one day and you tell me that, sir, now I have started the research, and not only the research, but then I'm successful, and I'll be very happy even to help you at any point of time for your research challenge. See, the first one, the most essential characteristic of the research worker, majority of the people, they are writing it in the chat box, and it is right that it is open-mindedness is the right answer of this question. Second is arrange the phases of the research, and majority of them, they are writing in a chat box. I can say the Rajendra, he has written, then the Shweta has written, then Deepesh, he is talking something. That in this whole process is setting of the objective. The next is the collecting the data. Third is analyzing the data. And the last one is the interpreting and then the finding. The majority of you have given the right answer. The Mayuresh also is talking about the same thing. Sandhya has given the answer of the first one. Very good. You are very interactive in this session. I'm very happy. Let us go to the next question. Research work is based on. Now the chat box has now come to a standstill. Now, what is the answer then? The answer is rightly said by the Mayuresh again, and it is based on the secondary as well as the primary data. So you have to be balanced between the primary and then the secondary data. Even Purvi Agarwal, she has also given a perfect answer. Very good. It means they have understood the session. Sankhita also is talking about the answer. Let us go to the next question. The next question is publishing without consent. I have used that technical word for that. Chori hai, theft hai, crime hai, and then I have given you one particular word for that, and that is the plagiarism. So don't copy paste it. It's a crime, and then you will find don't do crime. Your researcher, it's a noble job, and do it with a grace. Yeah, the Tanveer Taukir. Okay, Fatima. She has given the right answer. The Mayuresh has given the right answer. Janavi has given the right answer, plagiarism. Okay, let us go to the next one. Quality of research depends on. And that is a very, very important quality as what we have seen in our all slides, along with the open-mindedness. When we talk of a fun and then the excitement, you will find a very important quality of the researcher is a rigor. If you don't have that rigor, if you don't have enthusiasm, if you don't put the life, the research is of no use. The next is the purpose of doing the research. A very funny answer alternatives are given, and then you will definitely not answer me as a time pass. But you will find a majority of them, they are giving the answers, the participants, that it is a better understanding. The purpose of the research is a better understanding, and it is not just a pastime, or it is not just the academic exercise. The next question is research ease. I think the answers I'm getting it from the participants, so I'll wait for 1 minute to get the first answer, right answer, of course. Yeah, now I started getting the answers that the research is, they are saying a very perfect answer. I don't disclose it before the others answer it. Oh, lot many answers I'm getting. 348 chats. My God. And then the research is, you will find that purposeful and systematic. I think this is Fatima who has given the first answer. And then that research is a purposeful and systematic activity. Very good, I say. And I really feel that you will all become the great researchers. And I will pray for your research that you will be very, very successful. Let us go to the next slide. And I think this is the last slide. And let us get the answers of these three also. And it's also 1 o'clock, so my time is also over. The question is classification and evaluation of previous work. You will find there is a technical word which you will definitely learn in all your 7 days, and that is your literature review. This is a literature review. Okay, Preeti Mehta has also given the answers now of this question. Then see the next one. The list of all the sources you have used. We have seen in the purpose of the thing is the, okay, Sankheta is also literature review. Okay, somebody is writing only 1, 2, very good. Now, what is that list of all the sources? Is the bibliography. Somebody has now answered it. It's a bibliography. And then the last question in your questionnaire is first step in research. And if you understood your first step in research, I think you understood the whole gimmick of the research. I'll wait for the answers from you. Yeah, Vishnu Sharma has given the answer. Yeah, let me wait further. What is your first step in the research? Correct. And then Narendra Kumar, very congratulating to you, Narendra Kumar. You have given the answer. Mayuresh has also given. Priyanka has also given. Very good. Nivedita has also given. And then the answer is identification of problem. So if you understood the research, first identify the problem and start doing the research. My friends, let us close these slides and then let me interact with you directly. So my friends, I'm very happy, and I think the more and more messages I'm getting, till I think 336 messages I already got. I will look into that also, because now time will not permit us to go further. But thank you very much. I hope we have enjoyed it, as your messages tells me, and I'm very happy that you have all attended it. Once again, I'm thanking you, and I'm telling you that if you have got anything to discuss, please approach me, and I will share the PPT. Thank you very much. Thank you.